You guys all see the social dilemma? I think this would be an interesting topic to
Yeah.
start this off on because obviously we are all the first people who have spent years building businesses on social media and running pages for years on social media. Nobody could have possibly done it for longer than us. Nobody could have done it before us because we've been doing it since the platform started,
Yeah.
and for as long as they've been big in recent years. You guys, do you guys see any any problems with social, or do you think a lot of it is blown out of proportion? I'll preface this with my perspective in terms of data and some of like that stuff. I'm fine with them having my data. I don't have any. You want
Yeah.
my 50,000 photos of LeBron James? Take them. Make my
Yeah.
experience better on social media.
Yeah.
I I don't have anything crazy in my texts. It's like text with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, you
Yeah.
know, I, but granted, obviously there are, scares in terms of the mental and psychological effects that social media brings and how it forces us to like compare each other in like a really barbaric fashion, which I hate. And it often sucks a lot of time. It often sucks a lot of energy, can make you feel bad. Um, so I want to open the floor to you guys. What are your thoughts on both that stuff that the documentary highlighted, as well as what you think could be better about social and what's bad?
Ah.
Quinn, you
Um,
want to start off?
yeah, I can start off.
Yeah,
Uh,
go for it.
yeah, so personally, I think it's a double-edged sword. Um, I think over like based off the first question and like the first topic, it being like where are we gonna be 5 years from now? And personally, me, I see myself going away from my phone more. But a good work week, still has like 14 hours of screen time average a day, you know. But I wouldn't be able to do that if like for you, Buster, I know you like run a lot, you know. And like we like have our little things. Like if I didn't go mountain bike, if I didn't work out, if I didn't do yoga, like I just think personally, like we don't separate from ourselves from those things and like social media and like the constant like being stuck into this algorithm of like whether they push you into like LeBron James photos all the time. You know, if they keep pushing that out, like people who can't escape from that and are in their home and just like are constantly getting that and can't like physically put the phone down or be like have anxiety from not being near their phone for 2 hours. You know, I think that's where it gets dangerous. And luckily, like doing this for so long, I found like, okay, if I don't take care of myself first, like social media will kind of eat me apart, and it has. You know, I mean, I've definitely fallen into like the trap of like 14 hours a day, nonstop checking for notifications. Like that's how I grew. You know, it's how I grew like 1 million followers in one summer. You know, it's like doing shout out for shout out all day. But I think as we grow as like people and we understand that that's like not what we're meant to be. We're not meant to be like famous or compare ourselves to these people. It's just like I feel like as you find your purpose more, you need your phone less and less. And yeah, I guess it's just like a little touch of what I have so much to say about that. I mean, it goes on forever, personally. Yeah, Ash or Mo, decide what you guys have to say to that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think one thing that you said that's important is growth, and I think my biggest fear with growth is the younger generation, um, essentially tying their life to social as opposed to realizing that their life is separate from social. And growth is something that happens naturally and organically in our lives. It's something that every young person goes through, and everybody that's dealing like going into their 30s, 40s, 50s, you're still growing. It's a matter of what you're connecting to your growth. And I think if people can separate social from their growth as a person, then that's important. My fear is that social has become so ingrained. And then on the flip side, or another point that kind of scares me is how much social can polarize stances and positions that people have on certain topics, because you're being fed the things that you think you care about based off of what you liked or what you've seen.
Yeah.
And you see it right now, especially with politics in the United States. Like, people are, the moment they like something or they engage with it, the social so powerful that it's just feeding you the same stuff over and over again, where that's where you start to actually believe things that aren't necessarily true or that have holes in them, but you become a part of that message all of a sudden. And that's challenging, because then you fail to actually search for the other side or the other perspective. And I wish social did that more, where it's like it shows you both sides of the story, and then helps you figure out a decision. But on the, it's actually doing the opposite. It just shows you that one side that you cared about for that minute, and then it just keeps pumping it at you. And that's I think challenging for people, because you, even growing up, like, you ask our parents, they watch the news, and that's what the news was doing. But now that engine just becomes so much more powerful with social, that it it's so much faster. Like, that information, and it could be misinformation, is given to you at such a higher rate, that people aren't going to go do their own research to learn. And you would think that with social and the internet, like, we have access to so many resources. If you used it in a way where you did go and do research, then you'd learn a lot about what your position is. But it's scary to think that, like, you get pushed into a rabbit hole that might not necessarily be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for me, growth is like the most important thing. And it's funny because like people always like in their head, they're always like, oh, like how are your accounts doing? No, it's like, how are you personally doing? Like growth, personal growth. Like the first day I met you, Buster, I feel like we've both grown a ton. Quinn, same. Ash, same.
Yeah.
So focusing on growth, both like, being hand to hand. And like when Quinn was saying, like, yo, if I'm on my phone 16 hours a day, how am I going to have personal time for myself and to worry about myself and focus on myself? And then like, I feel like the advantage that we have is like, if we get something negative in our DMs, we really don't think about it. Like, I feel like we've been doing this for so long, we're kind of like a wall. We're like, okay, like on to the next. Whereas like that 17-year-old that is on Instagram, if he gets one message, he's gonna be thinking about that for 2 or 3 weeks. So I feel like us being like raised in this digital age, we're like doing this for so long and uh, being pretty good at it. I feel like we got that stone wall, and like fake news is huge nowadays, and I feel like we're able to dissect like what's fake and what's real kind of better than like just a normal person.